Have you ever made plans you didn't really want to make, and then felt a wave of relief when they got canceled? Like, you see the message pop up, "Hey, I'm so sorry, can we rain check?" And before you can even stop yourself, your shoulders drop, your chest loosens, you feel lighter, almost calm. And then, about half a second later, guilt kicks in. Why do I feel relieved? What kind of person feels happy when plans fall through? Most people assume that reaction means you're antisocial, lazy, flaky, or secretly don't care about people. But psychologically, that relief is usually pointing to something much deeper and much more human. So let's talk about the psychology of people who feel relief when plans get canceled. Because chances are, if this happens to you, it's not about hating people at all. It's about how your brain processes energy, obligation, and emotional load. Think about the moment right before plans get canceled. You're probably already running the mental simulation. What to wear, how long it'll take, how much small talk you'll have to do, whether you'll be on the whole time, how late it might go. When you can finally leave without it being awkward, your brain is already spending energy before anything has even happened. And then, cancellation. All that future effort just evaporates. That relief you feel is your nervous system standing down from a task it was bracing for. Here's the part most people miss. Relief doesn't always mean you didn't want the experience. It often means the cost of the experience felt higher than the reward, and your brain is very good at calculating cost, even if you're not consciously aware of it. Psychologically, this has a lot to do with anticipation. Anticipation is powerful. Your brain doesn't wait for things to happen to react. It reacts in advance. Studies on stress show that anticipating a demanding event can activate the same stress responses as the event itself, sometimes even more intensely. So by the time the plans actually arrive, you're already tired. For some people, social plans feel energizing. For others, they feel like a slow leak in a battery, not because they're bad at socializing, but because social interaction requires regulation, monitoring tone, reading cues, responding appropriately, being present. That takes mental effort, especially if you're sensitive, introspective, or highly attuned to other people's emotions. If you're someone who feels relief when plans get canceled, your brain may be wired to conserve emotional energy. It's not avoidance, it's efficiency. There's also something called decision fatigue. Every plan adds a layer of decisions to your day: when to go, how long to stay, what version of yourself to bring. Cancellation removes all of that instantly. No more choices, no more performance, just stillness. Your brain loves that. Now, let's talk about obligation, because this is a big one. A lot of people don't actually dread the activity. They dread the commitment, the feeling of being locked in. When plans exist, your time no longer fully belongs to you. Even if the plans are hours away, a part of your brain is already occupied, like a browser tab you can't close. When plans get canceled, your autonomy comes back online. You can rest, wander, be unstructured, let your energy decide what happens next. That sense of regained control is deeply calming to the nervous system. This is especially true for people who grew up feeling overcommitted. If you learned early on that your time, emotions, or availability were expected rather than chosen, your brain may associate plans with pressure, even good plans, even fun ones. So when plans fall through, it doesn't feel like loss. It feels like release. Another layer here is overstimulation. Modern life is loud. Notifications, conversations, schedules, expectations, being reachable all the time. For some people, plans aren't just one event. They're another input in an already saturated system. Cancellation creates quiet, and quiet, for certain nervous systems, feels like oxygen. There's also the myth that enjoying solitude means disliking people. That's not how it works. Solitude and loneliness are not the same thing. Solitude is chosen. Loneliness is imposed. Relief when plans get canceled often means you value solitude as a way to reset, to think, to breathe, to exist without responding to anyone. In psychology, there's a concept called introversion, but it's often misunderstood. Introversion isn't about being shy or awkward. It's about where your energy comes from. If you recharge internally, too much external demand drains you. So your relief isn't rejection, it's recovery. And let's be honest, sometimes plans get canceled at exactly the moment you realize you were forcing yourself to go. You said yes because it felt expected, because you didn't want to disappoint, because you thought you should. That relief is your intuition saying, "Thank you for listening." There's also a deeper emotional reason this happens for some people. If you've learned to be emotionally self-sufficient, plans can feel optional rather than necessary. You don't rely on external stimulation to regulate your mood, so cancellation doesn't threaten your sense of well-being. It simply changes the shape of your day. On the flip side, if you feel relief and then shame, that's worth paying attention to. That shame usually comes from a belief that wanting rest, space, or quiet makes you selfish. But psychologically, respecting your energy is not selfish. It's self-awareness. Your brain is constantly balancing stimulation and recovery. When recovery wins, that's not failure. That's regulation. Here's an analogy that helps. Imagine your social energy, like a budget. Some people get a huge budget every day. Others get a smaller one. Neither is better. Feeling relief when plans get canceled is like finding out you don't have to spend money you didn't really have to begin with. And yes, there are times when this relief can signal avoidance. If you consistently avoid connection out of fear, anxiety, or emotional shutdown, that's a different conversation. But relief alone isn't evidence of that. Relief simply means something was costing you more than it was giving you at that moment. The key question isn't why do I feel relieved? It's what was I protecting? Your energy, your focus, your peace, your sense of autonomy. A lot of people who feel relief when plans get canceled are actually deeply thoughtful. They feel things intensely. They process internally. They don't skim the surface of experiences. Because of that depth, they're selective about where they spend themselves. There's also something quietly healthy about not needing constant activity to feel okay. Being comfortable with an empty evening, an open night, no agenda. That's emotional stability, not social failure. So, if you're someone who secretly smiles when plans disappear from your calendar, maybe stop judging that reaction so harshly. It might be your nervous system telling you something important, that you're tired, that you need space, that you're allowed to choose rest without explanation. The world often celebrates people who are always busy, always booked, always out. But psychology reminds us that regulation looks different for different minds. Some people thrive on motion, others thrive on stillness. Neither is wrong. And maybe the real growth isn't forcing yourself to want more plans. Maybe it's learning to make plans that don't require relief when they vanish. Plans that match your energy instead of draining it. So, the next time plans get canceled and you feel that quiet sense of calm wash over you, don't immediately label it as something negative. Sit with it. Ask what it gave you, what it removed, what it revealed. If this resonated, take a moment and think about your relationship with time, energy, and obligation. And if you want to keep exploring the subtle patterns behind human behavior, the ones we don't talk about out loud, you already know where to be.